I, Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic. I, Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic. Say it with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, America. Regardless of your political party, every American should be concerned with the two reports that I'm about to share with you. It's so important that every news organization on your television, whether it's local news or cable news, the newspapers all across this country, and all social media sites should be covering what I'm about to share with you. But they are not. As of right now, you will only find this information on foxnews.com and americanmilitarynews.com. Joe Biden and his administration personally worked with YouTube to censor all the virus and vaccine information that they believed in their minds was untrue. To make sure that if any medical doctor or even scientist or YouTubers like me that shared their information, it would be labeled as medical misinformation, removed from YouTube, and in many cases, either place the channel in timeout for 2 or more weeks or completely remove the channel from YouTube. I, for one, was censored several times for sharing information that I received that came directly from medical professionals that were actively treating people in hospitals, but yet they labeled it as misinformation because it did not go along with their narrative, which was only what the World Health Organization said. If the information was even in the slightest off from their talking points of the World Health Organization, you would be censored. The documents we were talking about are emails. They were obtained by Fox News Digital, acquired through a source close to the House Judiciary Committee, and revealed a level of correspondence previously unknown to the American public. As President Biden and his aides sought to promote the virus and vaccinations in an effort to quell the rage pandemic, the campaign was led by a former White House director of digital strategy. His name was Rob Flannery, who has since left the administration to run the 2024 campaign for Biden. Flannery emailed Google team members. And by the way, if you don't know this, YouTube is ran and operated and owned by Google. He emailed Google team members in April of 2021 to connect about the work you're doing to combat vaccine hysteria and also crack down on vaccine misinformation. That's in the documents, in the emails. Flannery asked for trends surrounding vaccine information on YouTube while offering government assistance in the form of what they considered COVID experts at the White House to partner in production and work with YouTube. Google in an internal email noted that after a substantial meeting with Flannery, the White House staffer particularly dug in on our decision-making for borderline content, which is content that doesn't cross community guidelines, but rather brushes up against it. Because until the White House got involved, what you said was covered under freedom of speech, and YouTube did not censor it. Once the Biden White House got involved, that all changed. A week later, Google acknowledged that it sent the White House the total amount of videos removed from or under the guise of COVID vaccine misinformation, while discussing the government's desire for even more data. Really? Flannery's interest in what we're seeing that is not coming down, read the internal Google email between the employees, seemingly referring to videos that had not yet been removed. The next day, YouTube's government affairs team emailed YouTube's product team flagging the interactions with the White House. There is a very high degree of interest now coming from the White House now regarding vaccine misinformation, vaccine hysteria, and our work around borderline content, the internal email from YouTube read. Unfortunately, the role of tech in advertising vaccine hysteria is about to come under a massive spotlight, particularly as the supply of the vaccine is soon to outpace demand, it stated. In April 2021, the correspondence was added as such. Then the government affairs team asked the product team could brief the White House on YouTube work to reduce borderline content. We are hoping to get something on the books in the next 2 weeks or so to prevent anything from potentially spiraling out of control, the email stated, stressing the urgency of the situation. A week later, an update was presented, with YouTube's government affairs team writing the product team to inform them of the discussions between YouTube and the White House. Over the last several weeks, the Google and YouTube GAAP team have had conversations with the White House staff on YouTube policies and all the great work that is being done to raise about information and fight harmful misinformation related to this. The email stated, and we will label it as medical misinformation. The government affairs team then asked if the YouTube producer team could meet directly with White House staff to highlight their efforts, because White House staff continued to have questions on the rise, reduced efforts related to supposed misinformation. The email continued, imploring the product team to meet with the White House as it could be beneficial for future working relationship. Basically, we're the White House. What we say is fact. Don't question it. And you want to work with us and no one else. We believe having the opportunity for you both to share more background would be hugely beneficial as we seek to work closely with this administration on multiple policy fronts, the government affairs team wrote. The revelations of the documents between the White House and Google come roughly a year after the original Twitter files were released, sparking a national debate about freedom of speech online. Speaking on the interactions between YouTube and the Biden administration, House Judiciary Chairman Jim Jordan told Fox Business, "We knew the Biden White House worked to censor America's speech with the help of big tech. Internal documents from Google obtained by the Judiciary Committee and select committees show that their scheme extended to YouTube. The committees will continue their critical investigation work to protect America's First Amendment rights and to put an end to the vast government censorship enterprise." Two other journalists involved in the Twitter file publication, Matt Taibbi and Michael Shellenberg, are set to appear on Thursday, next week before the Jordan Select Committee on the weaponization of the federal government on Capitol Hill. The hearing will examine the federal government's involvement in social media censorship, as well as the recent attacks on independent journalism and free expression a year after the original Twitter files. In a statement, a YouTube spokesperson did respond to Fox News Business of the Judiciary Committee findings and said, while we receive input from governments around the world, we apply our policies independently, transparently, and consistently, regardless of the speaker or the political views expressed. The White House has so far refused to comment when contacted by Fox Business. That should be enough to frighten every American, but not as much as the final story here. Remember last year when the White House saw to it that every service member in our military received the vaccine or be discharged under other than honorable conditions? Well, now it's coming back to show the harm being done by not just military members, but if this is what I'm about to share with you is affecting our military members, guess who else it's affecting? Everyone that went along like sheep thinking our government would never lie to us and rolled up their sleeve to get the jab. A United States Navy medical service member, now labeled a whistleblower for Congress, recently disclosed information from the Department of Defense that shows a major increase in military troops with heart-related issues after receiving the jab. Navy Medical Service member Lieutenant Ted Macy, who is an active duty officer and doctor, a Navy health administrator, and a medical recruiter, shared the information in a video on X, formerly Twitter. Macy presented his claims over concerns that have repeatedly been emphasized by his wife, Maria Macy, who is currently running for Florida's 5th Congressional District in the U.S. House of Representatives. In his video that you can watch for yourself if you go to his Twitter or X account, Ted Macy said that the U.S. military is experiencing a major increase in heart-related issues. Macy said that the Department of Defense data proves a 937%, I'll repeat that, a 937% increase in heart failures in U.S. military members, a 152% increase in cardiomyopathy in service members, a 69% increase in ischemic heart disease, a 62% increase in pulmonary heart disease, a 36% increase in hypersensitive disease, and a 63% increase in other forms of heart disease compared to the 5-year average before the mandatory jab. In a statement released on X, Macy's wife criticized the U.S. government's treatment of military troops during the pandemic, urged that there is currently a high level of mistrust in the military leadership, and demanded accountability as the only answer. So you may have seen my wife's recent post, and I want to elaborate on that and give you an example of why reinstatement, back pay, and apologies isn't enough, Macy said in his video. Macy told the Gateway Pundit the response to our concerns from the Department of Defense has been so-so in letters and memorandums. A letter displaying how they confirmed the data, but said it was due to the virus, even though all the issues started in 2021. Macy explained after the meeting with the Chief of Naval Operations and her aide, the only response he has received is that the Defense Medical Database information has been passed on to the Navy Inspector General. Slow rolling everything has been the norm, as well as denying that it's even happening. Congress' response, he said, has also been unacceptable. They're more interested in going after woke things in the Department of Defense, which we all know is actually happening, than compared to the death and injuries over the illegal vaccine mandate that was put on the military. According to recent information published by the U.S. Army, 97% of active duty U.S. troops are fully vaccinated against the virus. 90% of Army National Guard members are fully vaccinated, and 91% of U.S. Army Reserve members are fully vaccinated. You also may remember that they told the military members that if you have religious grounds, you do not have to take this if it's against your religion. And every one of those were denied, even though the service members, some of them, put forward the documentation. Now, at least 270,227,181 people, or 81% of the population, have received at least one dose. Over 230,637,348 people, or 70% of the population, are concerned or considered to be fully vaccinated. I, for one, who served honorably in the United States government as a military member, can tell you straight up that this government and both political parties through the history of America has lied their ass off. You can look on YouTube all day long and see videos of all the scientific experiments that were performed on American citizens against their knowledge that it was happening, especially military members and the African American community. Look it up. It's available for all to see. Our government, this current administration, the Biden administration, worked with Google/YouTube to censor our speech. And they're still doing it as I speak. And if this video stays up, it'll be damn shocking. So I'll make sure I put it on my website and my Rumble account as well. We're in some trying times, and it shouldn't be this way. We have a constitution that we should abide by, all citizens of America. That includes big tech and the freaking administration. But that's not happening. Sadly, that is not happening. You may have heard, I'm sure you have, all the many celebrities, actors, actresses, singers, performing artists, professional athletes, college athletes, high school athletes that are dropping like flies. Every week, it's something in the news about somebody who just died of heart failure that was perfectly healthy. That number is increasing in leaps and bounds. Just open your eyes and pay attention. And those responsible for covering this up and not allowing the other side of the information from scientists and doctors to get out for you to view your options, those responsible for censoring that should be held accountable to the fullest extent of the law. And that includes everybody that works in social media, that work with the White House to censor all this information, as well as the White House members themselves. As always, please say a prayer for our men and women serving in the United States military, our veterans, our law enforcement officers, our first responders and their families, our angel families, our blue and gold star families, and our country. May God bless the United States of America, and may God bless each and every one of you. Tune in on Tuesdays and Thursday nights for the Douglas Ducote Show on the YouTube channel. Until then, take care and God bless.